This video is brought to you by CapBeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
About last week where he has played a little bit better. What a pass by Rondo.
That might be the dagger.
Why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league?
The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers, the 2010 NBA champions.
Disrespectful. Showing a lack of respect or courtesy. Impolite. You got that? Alright, good, because I wanted to make sure that we don't confuse this list for every single nasty play that happened throughout the 2010s. It's not every single cross, it's not every single highlight, it's disrespect. It's the lack of common decency and regard for human life. So, with that being said, viewer discretion is advised. Some of these plays closer to the top of the list are very disgusting and you've been warned. Also, when you're done feasting your eyes, be sure to check out the sponsor of this video, CapBeast.com, in the link in the comment section and the description.
LeBron checking the clock as he has Ibaka in front of him. Shoots from three. They are on fire.
One of those tentative attempts he's rattled out. And LeBron right back to the same spot.
For three again.
See, yes, this right here checkmarks every single box in the category of disrespect. If anyone has ever just casually spun the ball in front of you before shooting, you are now obligated to get those points back on the next possession. No, it wasn't even just the spinning of the ball here. LeBron jogged to the same spot on the very next play and shot the same exact shot on the very next play. Might I remind you, this was in the middle of a playoff game. LeBron James did not take the Toronto Raptors or Serge Ibaka seriously, not even in the slightest manner. He spun the ball twice and he was looking at it. He didn't care where the defender was. This was disrespectful, and it's also one of the many reasons that this era was dubbed LeBronto.
Batum's a good defender. Yes, he is. KD the ball. Oh, Steph. Oh, man. Twisted Marvin Williams around and then shot three. Wow.
God damn it, Steph, this man has a family. You know, there's getting crossed over, and then there's slipping and sliding on the floor on your way trying to get back up to contest the shot. Those are two different things. I actually think out of Steph's three-pointers, this one is highly underrated because I don't believe anybody mentioned this one when I asked about disrespectful plays on Twitter. And he's disrespected so many people from behind the three-point line, it was kind of hard to choose. But this one was so beautiful because he was simply using momentum and movement the whole play. Like, if you watch Marvin Williams following him, when he was moving off ball, he was already on his way down. He had already lost his balance beforehand. Steph saw this man begging for his life on the floor and could have actually penetrated to collapse a defense, and instead he takes an off-balance three-pointer. Well, he wasn't really off balance, it was just off the dribble, he was moving. Yeah, see, nah, anytime you get put on all fours, you have been disrespected.
You make a move with him right now to try and get, they probably could use like an athletic, long 2-3, 3-2 type of guy to defend other teams' small forwards.
Kyrie.
Oh, no!
Going to work on Brandon Knight.
Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! It is nothing that you would rather do in an all-star game but to cross someone over, make them fall, and hit the jump shot.
What a move by Kyrie Irving.
Wow, the ball handling in this league.
Yeah, y'all heard Chris Webber. Oh no was absolutely right. First of all, it was a damn all-star game, right? The rookie-sophomore challenge, all-star weekend, and Saturday night. Why was Kyrie in kill mode? We just chilling, man. Everyone having a good time. He singles Brandon Knight out. That's my favorite part, is he slowly walks up to Brandon Knight like he just doesn't take him seriously at all. He doesn't take him seriously as a defender, as a man. He just walks up to him as if he knows he can break him all the way down. And poor Brandon Knight, he just could not catch a break. His ankles broke, but he himself could never catch a break in the NBA. And if you watch from another angle, I believe after this play, Kyrie actually did like a silence motion to the crowd. Yeah, I'm sorry, this was actually a Friday night. This is one of the first events to happen. See, that makes it even worse. What kind of sober person is this amped up on a Friday night? He really didn't have to do all that.
Beyond the three-point line, look at that pass. Oh my goodness.
Sacramento had been taking L's for the better part of like the last 13 years, so this was just right in line. The Kings bench should have known better. They had Curry's brother on the team at this time, I'm pretty sure. They knew who they were dealing with. Why did they feel the need to try to get up and taunt and get in his ear? What made them think that was a good idea? So Steph not only shoots this wide open three, which we all know was going in, he turns around before it goes in to look at the bench that's taunting him. Do you know how easily that could backfire? If the ball doesn't go in and you have turned around to talk to that's like 7 or 8 people, you now look like a fool. He took that chance. That's how certain he was that he was about to clown these guys. That is disrespect. He did not have the decency to wait to see if the ball went in before he said anything. He turned around before it went in and looked at these guys like, y'all look like clowns. Just please have a seat. Enjoy the rest of the game. Also, the Kings were already down by like double digits at this point. The game was ending and they really wanted to talk to what was clearly going to be the MVP at that point. Just why? Why?
And a different way to score coming off baseline swing.
Oh, he does it again. Throws it right up to the rim. James comes flying in from the right corner. And another dunk. It was a dunk-a-thon Friday night. They're starting it again here this afternoon.
You remember there's that story out there that we don't actually know if it's true, but we take it as truth? That one day Michael Jordan called Muggsy Bogues a midget and that apparently ruined his career? Well, all I'm saying is John Lucas's scoring averages went down basically every year after this happened. He was actually doing a decent job filling in for Derrick Rose and then he was jumped over. And it wasn't like it was an accident, right? LeBron James fully planned to jump over this man because he was going to catch an alley-oop and he saw an entire another human being move in front of him and he didn't try to find a way around. He didn't say excuse me. No, he just jumped as high as he could and he jumped clean over another grown man in a professional basketball game. And then you can't really tell, but it looks as if he looked down to him afterwards. Lucas was just standing there really deflated and emasculated and LeBron was like, dude, you for real right now? Yeah, if you ever get jumped over in a game and you did not agree to be a prop, you gotta go have a seat.
Stolen. Here's Middleton. Giannis trailing the lob. Oh! Giannis Antetokounmpo over Chris Middleton.
Giannis even had Joe Biden confused about what just happened. See, this is even worse than the LeBron James play because what is John Lucas? Like, he's 5 something, right? John Lucas is 5'11". Tim Hardaway Jr. is 6'6". Imagine heading to the rim and seeing a 6'6" obstacle standing in your way, and your first intuition is to jump over it. See, with John Lucas, he didn't quite see it coming. He was turned around. It was like he was waiting for a rebound or something, but Giannis and Hardaway, they made eye contact. They understood where they were in space and time. Like, look, just take a look at this screen capture for a second. Giannis saw Hardaway see him and decided that he was totally okay with putting his nuts in his face if that's what it came to. Hardaway was probably always taller than everybody growing up. He was the man walking down high school hallways. And here he is not even being acknowledged as an obstacle or defender. This was definitely a lack of respect and very impolite.
They're really letting him play. It's a physical game. Oh, me, oh my! A monster jam by Blake Griffin. Oh, what a play by Blake.
See, this was one of those plays that almost just ended up being nasty and not disrespectful, but if you look at a lot of Blake Griffin's other dunks, he has this very bad and disrespectful habit of putting his hand on the back of people's head when he got high enough. And he knew who Kendrick Perkins was, he knew his reputation as a tough guy, and he tried it on this play. He actually did. Go back and watch the play. He put his arm down, he just missed. He got the front of Perkins' face instead of the back of his head. And imagine being so high in the air that you know you can just throw the ball into the hoop, right? Like, most people would probably just try to lay it up or float it or something if you know you're too far away, but you don't respect the person in front of you. You want to humiliate them, so you throw the ball inside the hoop as hard as possible. And I believe his fingers actually did end up grazing the rim here. And yeah, when I woke up the next morning on NBA TV, this was actually dubbed the dunk heard around the world. I probably watched it 100 times that day. And just for reference, when Dwight Howard was playing at MVP level, he did wind up saying that Kendrick Perkins was his toughest defender. So just chew on that fact when you watch this play and realize Blake Griffin had no regard for what was in front of him.
It's bedlam here in Cleveland. Curry blocked by James.
Y'all see that face, right? Steph Curry's entire family was at this game. dad, mom, wife, child. And LeBron James proceeds to swat his shot like he's a little kid, and then look back at him like he doesn't take him seriously in the slightest, and say whatever he said. I really hope this comes out in the book one day. The worst part about this play was that LeBron treated it as weak as it looked, because this was Curry probably at like, what, 60-70%. He makes a really weak drive to the rim, has a really weak fake, and what adds to the lore of this play is that this was at the time that the Cavaliers were coming back. You know, 2016, Steph Curry had been in the process of stealing the league from LeBron James. He was on the best team. They had been up 3-1 in the series, and this was when the momentum was clearly going back in Cleveland's favor, and then this happens. This is a pretty iconic play from that series, and it was totally LeBron James asserting his dominance over the situation.
It's a tough matchup. Hazonia picks off the bad pass. Hazonia drives it. Middleton finishes. And then stares and walks over into the Kupo. And it's caught there from Mario Hazonia. Waves into the crowd.
At this rate, when Mario Hazonia retires, he's probably going to be able to say he was one of only 3 people to have dunked on Giannis, and one of 1 people on the planet to have stepped over him afterwards. This just looks so wrong, right? Like, it's Mario Hazonia, Allen Iversoning, yes, I just invented a term, Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's like one of those movies where the worst kid on the team does something cool and time just slows down, and he straight up looked down at Giannis like he was less of a man and stepped over him. The MVP of the league, future MVP of the league. This play had no significance, it's a once in a lifetime thing, but it was definitely disrespectful. When AI stepped over Tyronn Lue, he just kind of slipped. This was the work of Hazonia, and he put his signature on it.
Shoot the 3 and did that right before the half, or he could drive on it.
Man, see, it's 2 things right here. First, it's the little dance that Harden does after this, but second, it's the fact that he decided to step back behind the 3-point line after he had Rubio beat and take the 3-pointer, which wound up being contested, instead of driving the lane and collapsing the D and maybe getting a foul or putting up a floater. And that was after he quite literally dragged Ricky Rubio. He got Marvin Williams here. He was forced to go on all 4, so whatever I said about Marvin Williams and Steph Curry, it applies here.
Left wide open. Griffin! Oh, wow! Incredible rebound putback. Butler now in the wing. Balls for the screen. 2-man game. Blake Griffin explodes on Gasol.
Yeah, I don't know what Pau Gasol said to Blake Griffin before the game, but it was clearly inflammatory and did nothing to better the situation. When Blake Griffin made a poster, it was normally like once in a game or whatever. You know, those top 10 highlights, like they happen periodically. He did it twice in one game here. You can argue whether they were legal or not, whatever, that is up to you, but there is no argument on the charge of disrespect. See, because not only did he humiliate him in midair, when they got down on both plays, one time Blake Griffin ran over him, and on the second one, he pushed him down. Maybe it was an accident, but he clearly had his forearm on his back, and it appears he shoved him down and walked towards him afterwards. Griffin proved on that night that it is entirely possible to emasculate somebody taller than you. And for the record, yeah, I don't even know how you could possibly have called a foul on Pau Gasol in the second one. I think the ref contemplated calling an offensive foul and did not want to ruin the highlight. He wanted to leave the Staples Center peacefully.
There's a ball ahead. Around the Griffin screen, pick, roll, slam dunk! Oh me, oh my, what a play! He stopped about 3 feet short of the rim and just threw it down.
Ralph, it's like the elevator went to the 3rd floor and paused.
Mozgov should have announced retirement after this game. I mean, perhaps not, because he did go on years later to finesse $16 million individually from the Lakers, Nets, and Magic. I have no clue how that happened. But this is disrespectful because you don't know what's going to happen when you intentionally palm the back of another grown man's head while you're dunking on him. You just don't know. You don't know who you're dealing with. That could easily lead to a fight. He could be waiting for you at the bus like Carmelo Anthony. Any number of things could come from that situation, and Blake Griffin cared about none of them. Like, just look at this specific specific angle. One day, Timothy's kids are gonna see this. He's gonna have to explain how this happened and why there was no retaliation. And again, Blake does this on purpose. You do not accidentally grab the back of somebody's head. He's done it multiple times. He's attempted it multiple times. This doesn't just happen. He's palming this man's head like a Dragon Ball. And we also have evidence that Blake knows exactly what he's doing when he does this. So when he does this to you in the middle of a play, you know what he was going for. They've got to have one of those Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas sit-downs to clear this up one day.
Did you think it was certain to work?
I thought it was going to be...
Oh, man, hard. Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson, and then he hit the three. Wow. He put him on the deck, and then he hesitated. Stared at him for a few seconds.
Come on, man, he was already dead. Wesley was already dead, and Harden stared at the corpse. It's one of the first things you learn growing up is that it is impolite to stare. It was as if he was waiting for him to get back up and contest a shot. And the worst part about this is that, well, it's really the fact that this generated thousands of memes on the same night. Anytime a highlight generates NBA Twitter memes, you're just done for. But it's worse that Wesley Johnson wanted no more of this. He did not get up and try to contest a shot. He didn't run towards him. He did not try to salvage what was left of his masculinity. He just sat there and waited for the money shot. Kill shot. I meant kill shot. Wesley's teammate had to get up and try to Wesley's teammate had to try to salvage this for him. That's how done he was with the situation. This man was like, damn it, fine, I'll do it. And then Harden still made the shot. That is the worst thing. I know Wesley was sitting there just hoping that the shot missed so that the highlight would not complete. But the thing is, even if the shot hadn't gone in, you would have probably still seen the cross replayed. There are only 2 plays more disrespectful than this one throughout the entire decade, and they are for very specific reasons.
Here comes Chris Paul. The lob. The jam! Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan! Look at Blake. Look at the bench. Lamar Odom walks all the way down to the other end of the floor with almost a sheepish grip.
Oh, man. Lord, please forgive me for speaking on the dead. First of all, this play should have never happened. Brandon Knight is a point guard. Matt Barnes is a small forward. I don't know why Brandon Knight was ever in this position. He shouldn't have even been the one in help position. Probably should have been guarding the ball handler. So that means this is just a case of wrong place at the wrong time. He had no business being in the paint for any reason on defense. He's like you guys as my players who have no badges for defense and rebounding. And this is one of the only dunks I've ever seen that had the potential to injure the victim. Brandon Knight hit the ground so hard. After you heard the rim pull, you heard the thud of him hitting the floor. There were multiple memes that night of him laying there looking like a dead body. The entire arena, the players on the floor, the players on the bench, Vinny Del Negro had to go hold them back so that they did not get suspended for leaving the bench. I guess that's what he was going for there. Knight had to have like 3 or 4 teammates come help him up and check on his well-being. And Knight was just laying there for a second like, I fucking hate basketball. Like, who has an unluckier career than him? When you think of Brandon Knight, you think of that missed layup in Brooklyn, the Kyrie cross, this. He's on 2 of the most disrespectful plays of the 2010s. That's the type of career this guy had. So there's also this thing, right, where you say DeAndre Jordan is like 5 times bigger than Brandon Knight. Of course, this was bound to happen. Yes, but DJ punctuated it. He knew that. He knew Knight had no business down there, and he did not take it easy. He saw a munchkin, and he went as hard as he possibly could. He meant to do this. This was premeditated. That's the disrespectful part about it. That's what separates it from a nasty dunk to disrespect. He could have just threw it in. He could have tried to lay it up. No, he tried to hurt this man. And by the way, I urge you to watch the play again. I assure you that Brandon Knight had ice on his back on the plane ride home. He had to walk it off because it was bad enough that he'd been humiliated like this, but that clearly hurt. He did not brace his fall, and DJ added to the force.
Terry, good defense. Wade from behind takes it away. Chalmers, Cole, James! Whoa! And a technical foul called on Miami for the taunt.
You can argue that there are better plays than this, that there are better dunks than this, but out of all the disrespectful plays on this list, this is the only one, well, besides LeBron James and Curry, this is one of those that has actual history behind it. This had meaning, because this was 2 seasons after the Mavericks had beaten the Miami Heat in the finals, taking away their dream season, and Jason Terry had things to say, specifically when talking about Game 2 of the NBA Finals and talking about LeBron James and Dwayne Wade celebrating. In that documentary, Terry had said nobody likes to show off. He kind of rubbed it in a little bit. Terry always had a lot to say. Also, there was the fact that Jason Terry was known for having gotten the best of LeBron James in that finals, in their one-on-one matchups. So you know LeBron James does not talk a lot. He does not talk a lot of trash. So the fact that this dunk happened and then James went over as if he was checking on a dead body, looking down to him. Yes, this was just like the Brandon Knight one. That night, memes flooded the internet, all types of things with Terry leaving in a casket, his soul leaving his body. It was a pretty dark moment in Celtics history. And if you go back and watch the setup for this play, it really looked like a setup. There was 4 Heat players and Terry was the only Celtic back. This was destined to go wrong. It looked like a gang was chasing someone into an alley, and I guess they quite literally did here. And it was a beautiful play. All 4 of them touched the ball. It was like they were all giving LeBron James his energy. The behind the back pass from Dwayne Wade, the touch pass from Chalmers, the beautifully placed alley from Norris Cole. This was, I'm convinced they drew this up before the game. It was like, there's gonna be one play where we get Jason Terry, and we're gonna have him in the backcourt. And when that time comes, you know what to do. Look at Terry in midair here. Out of all the plays of the 2010s, this play actually said something. Yet LeBron James said nothing. And he still got a technical foul. His scowl at Jason Terry was so violent, they called a tech. That's the equivalent to getting beat up in a fight and the teacher has to come escort the other guy out of the room. They have to personally escort that person to the principal's office. That was the equivalent here. He needed to be protected. LeBron James had some demons to bury that play, and also a Jason Terry. And that's my list. Let me know if there are any other plays that you would have put on here. Remember the difference between nasty and disrespectful, and hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed. Also remember to hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications when a new 2010s video drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.